The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Yesterday, we talked a lot about what was happening with the bears being trapped, coming into our key level mentioned from our previous high at June 20th. We mounted it here July 4th, and then we went crazy, and then we ultimately came back into that level. Now, fast forward to this morning, obviously, we mounted that level. We pushed up, had a great day, and saw some end-of-day selling. Now, despite what people may think, if Tyler is bearish, are they taking control, this or that? All in all, the Nasdaq ended the day green. Yes, despite what people may think. IWM up 1%, SPY up 0.6%, QQQ up 0.6%. Where did we go into? We went into our key levels mentioned time and time again. Right there, 499, 500 on Qs, right into the level, rejected off of it. And Q, where did we go here? Again, level mentioned on Twitter as well. Right here, 20,750. Again, we go into ES. What happened here? Came into a key level. Now, this is probably the scariest looking chart if we had to talk about any, is potentially what's happening here with ES. Potentially a double top right there. We go into Dow. What happened here? Again, why are we not talking about this? The breakout on Dow, ending of the day, very green still here. Go to the daily chart. Breaking out of that massive pennant, finally trying to hold out of it. That's going to be the large discussion. Potentially dangerous wick. We'll talk more about that. IWM, Russell, obviously breaking out, getting back into 2022 levels from January, almost to 20. This is really when like the whole cutting or raising rates started, was back here in January. So crazy that we're getting above some of these levels. And the question is it over, right? That's what everyone's asking. That's the $1 million question. It's Tyler, is it time to panic? Are they in control now? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, what was the bad news on today? PPI. So PPI came out. It was unexpectedly high, yet prices in the stock market continue to go up. We can look at what's happening here. June increase was attributed to a sharp rise in final demand services, specifically trade services margin, like wholesale things, which soared 1.9% from May and offset lower energy prices and still falling good prices. Okay. The increase was broad-based among wholesalers and retailers of fuel, autos, and other goods. Okay, right there. It is not the start of a resurgence in margin prices on goods, right? So what happened? It was basically like the cost of making these goods, etc. That's important to understand. Okay, now we go back, we look at PPI month over month. You can still see it's on the downtrend. You can go see back on Moo as well and look at the year over year. This is more of the issue, slowly rising back up. But we do know, what is the Fed taking more account into? CPI, overall core CPI inflation as well, and PCE. PPI is on the bottom of their tier list. Not my words. Again, this is the Fed's words, not Tyler's words, so don't shoot the messenger. Economists had expected annual prices would rise 0.1% on a monthly basis and hold steady at 2.2%, but obviously you did not. Okay, that is very, very important. Very, very important to understand there as well. Now, another thing is we go into volume. We talked a lot about this. This is just showing you T-2 to T+1 on CPI. So CPI is your volume on the past few months. As you can see here, the dark blue is typically your best volume CPI day. Then T+1, you get decent volume as well. Well, again, as you see here, yesterday was our best volume. Then today, slightly worse, but still decent volume. You saw the after hours, so you could get some more love here in the after hours, still rising. So we'll see, but still following that trend, and we expect volume to stay a little bit higher going into tomorrow as well. So that's, again, very, very important to be understanding, or going into Monday, I'm sorry. So what I'd be looking at now, going back into the S&P, going back into the Nasdaq, what are we looking at as a whole? Okay, now I want to look at the dollar first. I want to look at the dollar, look at the yields. Now, the dollar and yields have been the key indicator broad market for myself, going over risk on, risk off, etc. Okay, we look at the dollar. You're breaking back below your key level we mentioned yesterday, 104.16. Boom, breaking down. Okay, and if it breaks this, you're probably going to start dropping dramatically. Okay, very important to realize. These are your lows too on the US dollar DXY since May, just to let you know. Very important to understand there. Going into the US 30-year yields as well, still dropping. You had a nice retest of 4.4, like we mentioned yesterday. Rejected, pushing back down. We want to see the US 30-year yield continue this downtrend, right? They're still expecting rate cuts in September. That's as far as what they're pricing it right now, not what's going to happen. We still need to hear what the Fed says. So those are very important things to be taking into account and to be watching. And obviously yields are pricing in cuts too, because they're still dropping. And TLT is another good way to look at this as well. TLT rising again, trying to push back onto, highs since basically April. Worth mentioning, $94, $95 there. Again, this has been one of the best and most bullish signs broad market, mounting back above the 200 SMA there on TLT. So again, TLT, yields, dollar, in my opinion, still point to a risk on mentality. Okay. Again, I think people tend to forget where we are, and how we're moving. Okay. We had a great bounce back today. That's what you wanted to see. If you would have lost this level here, I'd have been very concerned. I was very clear about that on Twitter, social media, etc. Again, if you're not following on Twitter, the link is down below so you can see all of my charts, what I'm looking at, what I'm talking about in the market, etc. All my trade ideas, everything in between. It's all there for free. I'm trying to keep you guys updated literally all day throughout the day. So I try to do my best. So it's there. The link is down below. But again, you still look good in my opinion. Despite being below some of these levels, again, you're above your main level, 20,370. You lose that level, I think you could have some pain coming in there as well. We go back to SPY, we go back to Qs, and what are you doing here? It's the definition of a bullish trend. Again, there's no reason to overcomplicate this. You are making what? Higher highs while still making higher lows. Now, again, the trend's not as great as it could be here, but again, I just want to highlight the higher lows that are clearly being established. Clear as day, being established. Higher highs as well. Continually making, even though you broke there, still making higher highs. Very, very simple to understand. Pretty elementary. Don't know how else to explain that, but that's the definition of a bull trend. Higher highs and higher lows. I don't care how biased you are. It is what it is. Sucks to suck, right? QQQ, again, a little less strong, but in my opinion, you're still making higher highs and higher lows. Why? Because again, higher high, higher low, push back in, you break out, higher low, again, higher high, you broke back down. Now, if this starts to break down like this, that would be that major level we talked about. That would be concerning. So we want to watch this and see if you're actually breaking back to the downside. But until then, I'm not concerned. Again, QQQ, I'm watching this 487 level 2. If we do start seeing sellers, because again, that's going to be a major level we are going to be watching that held for some time as well on Qs. And someone asked me yesterday, why do you talk about Qs and Nasdaq differently? Because you guys asked me to. So yeah, I actually, believe it or not, I do listen to what you guys ask me on quite often. Crazy world, I know, crazy. Should I? Who knows? But yeah, so I do listen to what you guys ask, and I try to pay attention. But that level will be locally like right here, 20,270. So I'm watching that level as well. So you have two major supports right on top of each other on the Nasdaq. So hopefully that makes sense what I'm looking at as far as the indexes. Again, if you have questions on that, please let me know. I'll be posting stuff over the weekend on Twitter as well. So yeah. I do want to take the time, though, to go back to Moomoo and just give a shout out to the broker that I use for all my trading, all my options, where I literally do all my work throughout the day. It's completely customizable. They have great fills. In my opinion, they've been one of the best brokers I've used. Again, you can check in the comments of how people feel. Ask them. Don't ask me how they like the platform and the followers have been using it. Again, completely customizable base. Everything that you could be using for as far as options, your watch list, everything along those lines. If you're trying to use a paper account to learn, you can also go over here and use it. You can follow other people's. You can comment and talk to them as well on their portfolios and other things along those lines. So again, if you're a beginner, very beginner friendly. Again, when you see me using the heat map, this is what I'm using at all points in time as well. Again, my favorite personal broker who I've been using for a while now. Again, shout out to them. A lot of sign up bonuses as well, so check them out. Link is in the bio. We're going to be using them for options here in a second. But again, that's what we're looking at there. So we have the SPY, Nasdaq, Qs, IWM, etc. It's all been broken down for you. Don't need to waste too much time there. Now, going into equities, this has been one of the big conversations now, right? What are we looking at? What are the opportunities? Again, I'm going to go over my favorite plays, what I'm watching in the broad market. Take it for what it is. Let me know what you think. I'll try to go over your comments later. Let me get rid of these indicators. If you are interested in indicators as well, the link is down below. Make sure you check them out. So yeah, Lux Algo, code OD40 for 40% off. Okay, so favorite stocks right now. Again, I keep talking about NVIDIA on repeat, it seems like. I'm a big fan of NVIDIA. You did not end the week above 130. You would have loved to see that. You had a really good push, as I mentioned yesterday, into 136. But again, bouncing is what you want to see so far. But again, above 130, you're looking for that upside there. Another big name I'm liking is AMD, and I think AMD is really bullish. But again, the problem here right now is like you're just getting like a triple top almost of like 186.7. I like this long. Personally, I really do, but you got to hold above 185 to be confident. So I just don't want to talk too much about it yet. But above 185, extremely bullish. Now, there's another play to here though. And I kind of don't want to talk about it because I'm so bullish on it, but it is what it is. Got to talk about both ways. If you start to break down below 177, this thing could get very bearish very quick with that triple top up here. I gotta be honest, right? So if you break this support down here, this thing could start free falling, okay? And if you get below like 175, 174.8, you have nothing until like 166, 164. You have a little bit at 168, but not a lot. Very illiquid. So again, if you get below 175, it's going to be gross. But again, that's just, I gotta point out, I gotta call it for what it is. If you break that support, it's going to get nasty. It would confirm a triple top. That'd be a concern. I don't think it's going to happen, but I have to highlight if it does. Again, SMH as well. You made all-time highs, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday morning, and then you drop back down. I still think SMH looks really good. But again, you're pulling back off that 278 level as well, and you're pulling back down to 271 right now. Going into the options market, things I'm liking over here. Again, I think AMD is pretty affordable. I like it a lot. But again, you got to do what you got to do. I think your earnings are on July 30th. Safer positions are August 16th. If you start mounting that level, the 200s are about 590. Highs on the day on these contracts, specifically for today, were around 770, roughly. So definitely very interesting there, worth mentioning. So again, they move really good, like them a lot. It is what it is. Do your own due diligence as well. NVIDIA, you're going to pay more of a premium. But again, if I'm trading NVIDIA, like I keep saying, you can go, I want to go way more time. I'm going more towards October. That's been the trade for me. If I'm trading NVIDIA, like the 140s, you can go closer in the money if you want, but I like the 140s for myself. That's what I'd be looking at. So that's what I'd be looking at there. Tesla. So a lot of questions today on Tesla. If you watched the video yesterday, then I think you got some answers. Okay. This is your 200 SMA, your 200 moving average on the weekly, your weekly 200 moving average. You come down to that level, you're about $1 off, but you find buyers in that local range, right? Right down there. From that range, you bounce up roughly $20. Okay. Again, start to mount that 248, 250 level, decent close into the end of the week. Like I said, guys, you couldn't really go short on this anymore from yesterday. It just wasn't really a great option unless you broke and retested this level. Then it was a short, but you bounced. And again, that's where you found the buyers, was from that key level. Again, the 200 SMA, guys, has been very key. Now, I don't like Tesla for swings here. Not interested. You break above like 264 and hold, we can talk. But until then, be careful. Earnings are in like a week and a half, so make sure you're watching Tesla as well. But again, I'd probably just be waiting for earnings. Do what you got to do unless you're trading scalps in and out, okay? Don't need to go over options for that. Another big name, too, we can go over stuff like Google. You're getting a pullback on these names in tech, right? Google, quick day trade on the day. But again, you sat in those highs around 191.5, pushed down, lost 187, 188, pushed down, and you're kind of just doing this stair step down now. This is concerning. I'd be targeting and looking for an opportunity to buy Google down here near 182.8 to 181.3. That's where you're going to start to find buyers on Google. I don't expect too much until then. Again, you might find a little bit of support, that low right there at 184, but I don't expect too much. Again, I expect more buyers down here. And again, you have that little support there as well near 180.5. So again, looking for Google potentially to bounce in that area. You kind of lost that level near the end of the day. Not what you wanted to see. But yeah, I still think Google is an awesome play longer term as well. They're doing very good as far as fixing their AI problems that they've been having. I don't love the dated contracts on Google. I'm not going to lie to you. But like I keep saying, though, and I do believe the market's bullish, but if you're not bullish in the market, then probably stay away from some of these long plays. But I do think Google is going to try to find itself around that $200 level, just with the significance across the board. Apple, what's happening with Amazon now and a few of these other names. It's been a big level for all of these names. So maybe I'm looking too into it. I don't know. But I like Google a lot, targeting towards that 200. The contracts aren't crazy expensive for October. But again, I would probably, if I'm going like 200 on Google, I'm probably going further dated. Do what you got to do. Like Google, looks good. But again, looking for that dip down here, and I want to see the reaction that you get from 183 to 182 locally. Microsoft lost a lot here. It's looking and just basing below your key level here of 456. Not ideal. Again, don't like going short on Microsoft. But you can see this little level right here. You can literally extend it, finding buyers off of it. So I'm not going to do too much here on Microsoft. If you get back above 456, I like the upside back into 460, 459 locally, but nothing else to do there really on Microsoft. Not going to overcomplicate that one either. Netflix earnings this coming Thursday. Be watching them. Nothing else. Not trading their earnings, obviously. TSM earnings on Thursday as well. This is actually one of the more interesting names here. I'm definitely watching TSM because you're mounting this level you had previously. Your previous all-time high, 184.9, basically. As long as you're above that, you look good. You're definitely. This is going to start setting the tone though for semiconductors. And again, it's funny when we look at semis. Like, we look at some of these, and like I don't want to say you're like consolidating. You're kind of in a range, but it is what it is. If you really, the range on NVIDIA is more 126 to 117. AMD lowered. They're breaking out, but it is what it is. But it's interesting when we look at these because we look at SMH and you're kind of at all-time highs. Like you were there literally on Thursday. So I'm taking a lot more into what's happening with this earnings, and I think it's going to set the tone. I think we had a fantastic run basically on semiconductors from the beginning of June to basically June 20th. It was a monster rally on names like NVIDIA, AVGO, announcing those splits. But now I think it's kind of like, okay, well, like, is this going to continue? Are the earnings going to continue to push? Are they going to continue to perform how they've been performing? That's the question. And so, again, I think TSM sets that overall tone. It's worth mentioning, again, you're not going to have your earnings on AMD till July 30th. And then NVIDIA is always the last to report. So those are things to be considering, okay? Things you should be watching for. I think Broadcom just had their earnings as well not too long ago when they announced the split. So they're going to be a little bit. So things I'd be looking for. And I definitely think semiconductors can they can start heating up again here. Now, what I will say though, okay, where you really get more confidence on semis is a breaking amount of previous all-time highs. Again, 279.69. Something I mentioned yesterday as well and have been mentioning is when you've broken your previous all-time highs, like when you have a high and you consolidate and break back above. I mean, your first run here went from 239 into 250. Then you retested, and then you went crazy. Okay, like just highlighting this right back here. This is August 2023 to November. You went from 160 to 165, retested, and you went to like 176. Like, so you're having pretty substantial runs, like even here, like January 24th into February 5th of this year. You break out, you go from 195 into 206, like a $10 run. So I'm just saying you've had some really good runs overall when you're breaking these highs previously. Am I saying that you're going to go parabolic and run $30? Not saying that. But I don't think it's out of the question that if earnings start to go well, semis continue this path. Again, NVIDIA, these other companies announcing that these chips are the best sellers that they've ever had. They're selling out of them nonstop. There's a big possibility SMH starts that climb into $300. And you have to assume names like NVIDIA will do a lot of that heavy lifting, especially when they've, again, you've moved good, don't get me wrong on NVIDIA, but it's kind of been trash. Your during market trading on NVIDIA has been trash. Don't let it fool you. Like, if you're getting upside, it's usually like to start the day, and then you kind of move back down. And you gap up, start the day, and then you move back down. That's how NVIDIA has been moving. You haven't really had those clean upside days like you were having back here, where the market was just buying and buying and buying. So things to consider, things to be watching, what I'm watching. Now, I'm not telling you YOLO, but just overall, right? Things I'm looking at here broad in the market. People could be asking me about Apple. I think Apple is probably the best performer out there. It is the stock of stocks. I'm praying to God he gets some crazy type of dip. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I wish it would. I think they're going to keep performing. I'm really excited for their earnings. I will not be trading their earnings, so understand that. Again, potentially an issue here, maybe making a lower high. I'm not going to discriminate. Maybe you are, but again, Apple's been very strong, not shorting it. Amazon, dude, Jeff Bezos, if Jeff Bezos is really selling this thing and really holding this down, what a guy. What a legend. Again, rejecting at 200, you can never mount that level on a daily, on a 2-hour, on a 4-hour. Rejected down. Now you're kind of bear flagging. Looking towards that level of about 192, 191.7. That's what I'm watching closely here. But what I will say is that you're finding buyers down here at this little level here. So worth mentioning, but I'm not shorting Amazon by any means. I can just see the path of downside here. It looks like it's flagging. It looks like it wants to get a dip. But again, I'm not crazy about like Amazon right now. Again, if it gets, I'm super bullish on them long term. Short term, maybe we got to wait for earnings to get us out of the mud here to get some more continuation. That's what I'm looking at there. All right. Now, also, guys, again, I got to highlight. I literally am trying to throw these charts up for you all day, every day. So again, the Twitter is there. So a lot of you guys have questions, and I try to go over like some of the questions you guys have on YouTube, and I just cover them on there. So make sure you're paying attention there as well. Now, again, those are your biggest things right now. Meta, you need to get back above 510 to be bullish. Until then, you're probably moving towards 491. AVGO, just consolidating, can't hold above 1750. You're getting rejected there. We mentioned that one as well. These are a lot of your big names, what you've been watching. IWM names still look really good. Really quickly, running you through some of my favorite IWM names. I think Elf, the makeup brand, really looks amazing, to be honest. Again, looks like a cup and handle if you ask me. Do your own due diligence. All-time high is 222. Trying to break and hold. Again, looks strong. Who would be watching it? Some of the other big names, Carvana. I'm not a huge fan of these names. I'm not going to trade a lot of them. But again, Carvana is trying to mount this like high that you established there. You're above your 200 SMA on the weekly. I'd be lying to you if I said it didn't look good. It does look good. Can't lie to you. It looks like it wants to keep going. Some of the other names like Affirm, not doing nothing. Upstart, kind of coming into the 200 SMA. Might be calm there in your range. Can't do nothing too much there. SQ looks good. Pointed this out on Discord today. You didn't even get a pullback. You just ran right into $70. You start mounting $69, $70. You have room back into the upside. But that's really where you're at, guys. That's what I'm watching. If you have questions, let me know. Inverted Head and Shoulders looks decent too. But again, that's what I'm charting. That's what I'm looking at. I'll see you guys hopefully on Sunday. Have a good one, traders. Enjoy your family and enjoy the time off. Have a good one.